What's up everybody? Welcome back to Downcountry Nation. My name's Desmond, and today we're going to be doing my short-term review on my 2022 Kona Hei Hei. Before we get into the video, I just want to quickly say we have 18 chickens, and you're probably going to hear them in the background. They're pretty loud, so sorry for the audio, but yeah, let's just get into the video. So I've had this bike for just about a month now, and have been very, very impressed with its performance, especially for how cheap it is. I bought this bike for about $2,100, and so far it's been a very, very good option. I think for a rider on a budget or someone wanting to get their first full suspension, the Kona Hei Hei could be a great option. Kona has a couple different versions of their Hei Hei. They have their aluminum version, which will run you right around $2,000 plus tax. Tax differs between where you live. But yeah, $2,100 for how much I paid for this specific model. And then they have some other ones ranging from like $3,000 to $6,000, and you can also get frames. But overall, I think this one is the most value to performance model. I think it's a really great option for a NICA racer, and though it only has 100 mils of travel in the back, it still could be a really great option for somebody even today. The only downside to this frame is this is a very, very old model Hei Hei. This has been in running since I think 2016, so it's been a used frame. This frame has been, they haven't updated the geometry, they've just made it aluminum and carbon and swapped the colors from year to year and put the newer components on it. So the geometry might be slightly outdated compared to today's downcountry bikes, but really overall, I think it's a really good option for someone who wants to get a downcountry bike on a budget. Now that we've briefly gone over the bike and just how it's performed, now let's get into climbing prowess and how well this thing performed on the ups. So far, through the time of me having this bike, I've definitely put it through its paces. I brought it to 2 bike parks, Ride Canuga in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and Burn Park in Canton, North Carolina, and 1 bike race, the Jordan Mountain Challenge, which is 28 miles, and I think it's about 3,000 feet of elevation gain, maybe 2,000. But definitely put it through its paces and definitely tested it for the month that I've had it. So climbing performance has been amazing on this bike. When I first got it, the suspension was a little bit squishy. I'd shoot the O-ring off and it was a little bit, it just went through its travel way too fast. Quickly found that if I aired it up a little bit, it would resist bottom out, and I slowed the rebound down so it didn't feel like a pogo stick. One thing I really did love about this bike was that it was a, what do they call it? A flex day design. It is a flex day design, and what flex day means is that there is no pivot where some bikes have pivots, or a pivot point right here where it would help move. This bike is just one solid piece of metal, the rear triangle, which resists bob and flex and just going up and down through the travel in your suspension. So it's a very, very stiff bike. It's not gonna be a really, really squishy, supple bike, but for someone coming from a hardtail, I was quite worried that the bike was gonna be super squishy and would bob up and down and take all my energy. And I quickly found that by airing up the suspension a little bit and setting it up for myself, it performed amazingly, and I'd say it performed better than a hardtail in some cases because I wasn't getting kicked around so much. And through putting it through so many long days on the bike with a ton of grueling climbs, whether it's up to the top of a bike park or through a really, really tough race, it just performed amazing. The race that I did was, a lot of it was on gravel roads, and keep in mind, I didn't have these faster rolling tires. I had the stock, I think it was Gen 1 Forecasters on it, and those are pretty slow rolling tires, and once I swapped them, it made the bike even faster. But I did the race on the longer, or the bigger Forecaster tires, and it still performed really well, got a top 15. So yeah, just a really great option for someone that maybe wants to get their first full suspension, but's on a budget. And also a great option for a NICA racer if you just want to get your first full suspension. Now let's move on to descending on this bike. Now descending was a little bit interesting. This bike, like I mentioned before, is slightly outdated, especially for downcountry geometry. With the head tube angle being 67.5, it's slightly steep for a modern downcountry bike, but it held its own. It was good. I think you're gonna need to be a decent descender. It was a big step up for me coming from a hardtail. The full suspension just made it so much easier because I would ride these trails on a hardtail before these bike park stuff, and I do that. And then moving to a full suspension made it a whole lot easier. So if you're moving from a hardtail to a full suspension and you're used to riding this stuff, it's gonna be night and day difference riding a full suspension versus a hardtail. If you're coming from a bigger travel mountain bike, you're definitely gonna feel on your bike. But to keep in mind, you can't have your bike both ways. You can't expect to be riding a short travel, quick handling, lightweight, cross-country, down-country bike, and also be able to descend like an enduro bike. So definitely keep that in mind while you're buying this bike. If you want this to be your cross-country bike, it could be a great option, but don't expect to be bringing it to your bike park and sending everything there, because you will be bottoming this bike out very, very easily. That was a big problem. I was kind of shooting the O-ring off the bottom, partially because I hadn't aired up the rear suspension yet, and also partially because it's only 100 mils in the back. So being a downcountry bike, like during my race, I brought it and did Kitsuma, so I had to climb 2,000 feet and then descend Kitsuma right at the end of the race. And I was a little under bike feeling. It was definitely chattery coming down, but it got down and it was fun. And I was definitely glad I had something quite a bit faster on the uphills over bringing a more bit longer travel trail bike or even an enduro bike. So great option for somebody just that wants to have a formidable climber and descender and just have the best you can of both worlds. Now, jumping on this bike, we'll kind of lump this into the descending part of it. Jumping this bike feels really, really good. It's stiff. It probably would feel similar to like a dual slalom bike because it's just so short travel. It's 120 in the front, 100 in the back. And it's gonna be a lighter weight kind of, you're gonna need to be a good rider. You're gonna know how to land because this bike could quickly get you into trouble. And that's one of the big things and big reasons why I love downcountry bikes, because they keep you from getting in trouble and doing crazy things that you could get yourself easily in trouble to on an enduro bike and a downhill bike, thinking I'm gonna be saved because I got 200 millimeters of travel or even 180. I'm gonna be good. But this bike forces you to ride smoother trails, and it makes those smoother trails much more fun and makes it just a better experience and not have to put yourself in so much danger to push the bike to its limits and see how far the bike goes. Because to ride a 180 bike, you're gonna need to be going way harder, hitting way bigger jumps to feel like you're actually using that travel. And this bike, you don't have to do any of that. You could do little tabletops and you're gonna have just as much fun. So really great bike for jumping and berms and that kind of stuff, flow trails or your cake. But yeah, it's a really great option for jumping. I hit some jumps on it, didn't really clear them because I'm not a jumper. It's fun, and it's a really, really great option for somebody that just wants a good overall downcountry bike, all mountain bike. So a quick interruption from the video, but we have our first merch drop. I've been planning this for a super long time, and I'm going to be hand laying vinyl with my logo on the back of Next Level Apparel's t-shirts. Next Level Apparel makes some of the best printable t-shirts in the entire market, and they're incredibly breathable and form-fitting. I really, really like Next Level Apparel, and that is why I'll be printing on them. As you can see, I'm wearing a Next Level Apparel t-shirt right now with the Downcountry logo on the back. I will not be offering this blue version just yet. Currently, I'm only offering the forest green t-shirt with the gray and gold mountain. It's only on the back, nothing on the front, so you just don't have a bunch of logos everywhere, so it's pretty good casualty. And yeah, it would be highly appreciated if you would come and support the Downcountry Nation brand. To get your hands on one, you're gonna have to come to one of the 5 races in the NICA season. I will be selling them for $20. If you'd like to get one, then comment under one of these videos, this one, or maybe one in the future, and let me know what size you are, and then come meet me at the next South Carolina NICA race. I am on the SCCM, and I'll give you your shirt. And yeah, really hope you guys like it. Now let's get back to the normal video. So the pros of this bike, there really are only 2. One of them is it's a great option for a person wanting to get into downcountry riding. It's not a bunch of money, and it's just a really great option for somebody that wants to try out downcountry without spending a bunch of money. For someone that wants to get a bike that they plan on upgrading, this is also a very, very good, viable option. It comes with a mid-spec, maybe closer to the lower end spec, I don't know, parts on it. It comes with a SLX Dior mixed drivetrain, which I haven't had any problems with yet. It comes with a RockShox Sit Ultimate. Keep in mind, it's not the race day, but I really, really love the Sit Ultimate fork series. I love its performance, especially with the 35mm stanchions. It doesn't feel flexy at all. It comes with a Monarch shock. This is a slightly outdated shock, but it does come with a lockout. So it really is a really, really good option for somebody that plans on buying this bike, not wanting to spend a bunch of money, but maybe upgrade as you go along. So maybe you find a good part, or maybe you find a deal on a fork, you can throw it on here, and it's just gonna make the bike slowly be better and better, but without spending a bunch of money up front. Now, the cons of this bike are also two things. The big one for me was paint chipping, and the second one was water bottle holder. So don't get freaked out. The paint chipping, it's gonna happen on bikes. The thing I noticed about this bike was the paint chips a little bit easier than other bikes. I have had this bike for a month. I have raced it, so I expect some paint chipping. I just didn't expect it to be this much. There's some pretty bad spots on the chainstay, easily touched up, and also, if you are going to be buying this bike, I would also recommend probably putting some ride wrap on it. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer for me. I like keeping my bikes really nice, and it just kind of stinks, so I'll probably touch it up. We'll maybe potentially be repainting the entire thing, a custom color and design. If you have any ideas, definitely leave them in the comments. I really appreciate all your comments and ideas that you guys throw out at me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll probably be touching it up, throwing some ride wrap on until I come up with a paint scheme and might custom paint the entire thing. We'll see how that goes. The second problem for me, which is fixed in the next generation Hei Hei, is the water bottle. So this generation Hei Hei has a single water bottle mount right here, but the next generation Hei Hei has the shock mounted up here, so you can fit 2 water bottles. So I did know this going into buying this bike, that it would only be able to hold 1 bottle, but I also planned on carrying a hydration pack for longer days, so it wasn't really a problem for me. But if you're just going out for a little rip, it might be a problem. So if you have that extra money, definitely go for the next model Hei Hei. Though they are quite a bit more money, it's definitely worth checking out if you have the money for it. But that was really the only cons for this bike. If you would like to get a Hei Hei, I definitely jump on it. Kona, with the way they've been moving, releasing a bunch of new bikes pretty close together, I wouldn't be surprised if they phase this Hei Hei out pretty soon and release a new next generation Hei Hei. So if you want to get this bike, I definitely jump on it. Go check out your local Kona dealer. They probably have one in stock. If they don't, I'm sure they can order it. Maybe not. I just go check them out, call them, and I don't really know. Kona's been kind of working around because, as many of you guys heard, they almost went bankrupt, and then the original owners of Kona, or founders, bought it back. Super excited, super glad about that, because Kona is one of those legacy brands that's been around forever. My dad rode a Kona back when he raced dual slalom, and I was really happy about that. But yeah, definitely go check out your Kona dealer and see if they have one in stock, and definitely jump on it if this is something that you want to purchase. Now, overall, this bike is an amazing option for somebody that just wants a budget downcountry bike. I looked at other bikes that are similarly priced to this bike, like the YT Izzo, the Polygon Siskiyou, and I just found that this one was probably going to be the best option for me, especially racing. Looked at the Polygon, I was a little iffy about it. I wasn't sure if that was going to be what I wanted. I didn't really want to drop a bunch of money into upgrading it right off the bat, and I knew I'd probably need to upgrade the Polygon Siskiyou pretty soon after. And the YT Izzo was a pretty good option, but I also knew I'd need to put faster rolling tires on it, probably change out the suspension, probably change out the rear or the derailleur. So I just thought this was going to be a good option to get right out of the shop and get racing it. So again, guys, it's a really great option. If you're a NICA racer, I know a lot of the people who watch this channel are NICA racers. If you are a NICA racer that wants to get their first full suspension, doesn't want to spend a bunch of money, this bike is a really Okay, but like I said, this bike is a really, really great option for somebody. I could ramble on about this bike all day, but it's just a really great option for somebody that wants to get into the full suspension market and doesn't want to spend a bunch of money. Yeah, and I got some really, really exciting videos coming up as well. NICA race season is, what, 4 days away, the first race. It's gonna be a long drive, 2.5 hours. We're gonna be staying in a hotel the night before. Hopefully gonna be getting all that cool coverage. Hope to be putting out that video in 2 weeks, maybe a little bit sooner. I got a bunch of videos planned that are all kind of backed up, so we're gonna see what one comes out first, but yeah, really excited for that. Gonna be trying to do well in that series, and actually I'm currently trying to get this bike ready for it. It's gonna be one of the most technical courses on the circuit, so I'm gonna have to be really, really important setting this bike up correctly for a technical course. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching and taking the time to watch these videos. I just appreciate all the great comments and everything else. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.